Hello, my name is Marley Abbott. Today, the Albert Gore Research Center would like to share oral history clips from 4 veterans who experienced the harsh conditions in the Battle of the Bulge as we commemorate its 75th anniversary. Our first clip comes from an interview with John Helton, who served in the U.S. Army during World War II. In this clip, he recalls being captured by Germans and taken as a prisoner of war.
Okay, well, let me tell you, we were captured in the Battle of the Bulge. And they walked us a good piece. And the first night, it was real cold, snow on the ground. We stopped in a little town, and they put us in a kind of a pen. Like, we didn't get in buildings and had to stay out in the cold. And that night, way in the night, I don't know what time it was, way toward morning, I sat down by a rock wall and I started getting warm, I thought, and getting sleepy. And about that time someone came by, and I've always said it was my guardian angel, kicked me on the foot and said, "Fella, get up, you freezing to death." And I was, but I got up and moved and didn't freeze. But anyway, we walked on and we got on, they put us in boxcars, 60 to a boxcar, and shipping us to prisoner of war camp. And I was in about 2 or 3 different POW camps. I wound up in, they called them Stelags. I wound up in Stalag 9B, that was near Bad Orb, Germany, and I was in one down toward Frankfurt, Germany. But anyway, after I was liberated and came home, and I might tell you something about the prison camp. When I left England to go to France, I weighed 186 pounds. When I got home, I had been eating a month, I weighed exactly 98 pounds, so I lost a lot of weight.
Yes, you did.
They didn't beat on me or do anything, but there was 8.5 months I didn't change clothes, I didn't get a bath, I didn't get a haircut, I didn't get a letter from home, or nothing.
This second clip features Paris Brewer of the U.S. Army. He describes the freezing weather that soldiers suffered through during the Battle of the Bulge.
The weather. How much of a factor was the weather?
Well, it's pretty bad. I had a year that I never did sleep on the inside of a building. It was outside altogether. And sometimes it wasn't that bad, depending on the season, you know, and how cold it got. And one particular night, I know I thought we'd freeze to death. We were so cold. And we didn't have anything but one blanket, and it was wet. It rained on us, you know, and we had one blanket, and it was real wet. And that was whenever that they had where they made that drive.
Is that the Battle of the Bulge?
The Bulge, yes, ma'am. We were expecting to come through where we were at, so we were under. It's just a little roll. It wasn't big hill, just rolling up like that, and then dip down over. We just under down as low as we could and see over the top of it, you know. And we had to lay there all night with that wet blanket on, and it was sleeted and done a little everything. I thought we'd freeze to death that night. If they'd have came at that time, they wouldn't have had no problem if they'd have been in vehicles where they'd warm. Of course, they'd have been out as cold as we was. Well, they'd have been different. But if they'd have had vehicles, they could have took us pretty easy because we were so cold we couldn't. Sometimes you didn't even hardly know you had a hand, let alone fire the gun. But they didn't. They missed us. They went to the side of us. They went in. I didn't know the unit they went through where they hit them at there. Of course, they splattered out then, and we got part of them, but they didn't make the drive through us. We stayed there that night all night, and they didn't come our way that night. But the next day, of course, we repositioned ourselves, you know. Then we got into the battle, you know, the next day. But that night we didn't. But I thought we'd freeze to death that night. You couldn't even smoke a cigarette, you know. You couldn't strike a match. You didn't have a light of no kind. Because we knew they were close. You see, we knew they were in 300 yards of where we were at. You know, we knew they were in 300 yards of where we were at. So if you'd have struck a match, well, they'd know where you at. Well, they'd open fire on us. You know, mortars or artillery or something or other. So we couldn't have a light of no kind. We didn't have anything, of course, to eat, nothing to drink or anything till up in that afternoon. Then moved out and changed positions.
Our third clip comes from Harold Agee, who served as a truck driver in the 143rd Anti-Aircraft Unit. Agee explains the danger of being surrounded by Germans and how the weather affected their ability to fight.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
During the Battle of the Bulge, it was covered us, they'd surrounded us on this Battle of the Bulge. And we had fog so thick you couldn't see 10 feet all in front of you. And they had us surrounded, and they were dropping flares trying to find us at night. And we had orders to not leave that till the last man was gone, because that's when they had the shell with the radar or something in the nose. In other words, when they shoot at the plane, it has to be within 75 feet of it or it won't go off. So the pilot won't know he's shooting at him until he's already hit. So we had them orders to not leave. Well, one night I sat in a truck, being another man, I sat this way, and going angle the other way, all night long. And we had to make no noise because they were trying to pick us up. And so it's hard to believe that I sat that many hours and did not scratch my nose and do nothing. The other guy didn't. Nobody talked. No noise whatsoever. It was real serious. We done that all the way until the next morning. And it was cold weather too. That's the most experiencing thing. Thinking I'm going to get caught next minute when them flares come down and they find us. But they never did find us. So we were always quiet. And the next time was we moved to another location, and it was just the cold, the freezing thing. I had one boy was laying up close to me. He'd already dead and laying on a stretcher. And I was driving the truck. I had lost my Arctics. He had the same Arctic size that I had, and they said they'd coat-march me if I took him off that boy. So I didn't take them off. As a result, my feet froze, and when I come home later on, they bled for many, many months. And it took a long time for my feet and legs and my circulation to get in good shape. That was the worst part, I guess, and I endured.
Our fourth and final clip features Richard Robinson, who served in Company B of the Army's 3rd Infantry. Robinson discusses being in the Battle of the Bulge during Christmas, dealing with frozen water and guns, and seeing his friend Audie get shot by Germans.
All the time, we was on the front lines all the time, so I don't distinguish one battle from another, but up there at the Bulge, we was at a little place, and I forget the name of it, but when Christmas Day come, we called it Christmas Hill that we was up on. We was up on the hill. Mm-hmm. And we was dug in up there. Wasn't no trees, just grapevines. It was just a great venue, that's what it was. And I remember on Christmas Day, our lieutenant come around and he gave each one of us a little bitty piece of candy and wished us happy Christmas. We wanted water so bad. I'll never forget that place up there. We wanted water so bad, everybody had a full canteen, but we didn't have no water. It froze hard as a bone. We couldn't get it out. And I remember frost on my rifle barrel. It looked like a quarter of an inch thick. And I was going to lick that frost off of there, and man, it just popped my tongue right to the barrel of that thing and just stripped the skin off my tongue. I had a sore tongue there for 2 weeks.
So here you were with all kind of water frozen around you, snow and ice, and then your canteens, and so thirsty that you were...
No, didn't have no water to drink. It was froze hard as a bone. And Audie got shot again up there. It was the second time, I know, because where I was dug in was sort of like a road, and there was a ditch there, and we were sort of dug in under that. And wrap up in the clothes that we had, and if we could go to sleep, we could sleep pretty warm. But I know we're standing up there one day, and Audie was laying up against the bank, or maybe it's my truck out there, maybe a little farther, and we could hear a bullet come in there once in a while, and it plop. And one come in, and Audie hollered, and we could see him. He's pulling things out of his back pocket, and he'd been shot right through his back pocket, hip pocket.
Is that right?
Yeah. And funny thing about it, I've heard several of them say since then, and I heard it too. When he got through, he said, "I will be damned if I ain't shot my ass again."
Is that right?
That was the second time he'd been hit there. And he was gone for about 3 weeks. And when he come back, he was our company commander. They made him our company commander.
On behalf of the Albert Gore Research Center staff, we want to thank all the men and women who served during World War II, and today we especially remember those who endured hardships and made sacrifices during the Battle of the Bulge. To listen to more oral histories with our nation's veterans, contact the Albert Gore Research Center. Thank you for listening.